Question 1. A company runs a dynamic web application on EC2 instances behind an application load balancer, ALB. The application is experiencing performance issues during high traffic spikes due to database read contention. They need a cost-effective solution to reduce the load on the database. Options: A. Enable auto-scaling for the database. B. Use Elasticache to cache frequently accessed database queries. C. Create read replicas for the database and distribute traffic using a Route 53 weighted routing policy. D. Migrate the database to a multi-AZ RDS instance. Correct answer: B. Use Elasticache to cache frequently accessed database queries. Explanation: Elasticache provides low latency, in-memory caching, significantly reducing database read load and improving performance. Why not other options? Option A. Auto-scaling is not available for RDS databases and doesn't address the read contention issue. Option C. Read replicas help distribute read traffic but may still result in higher costs compared to caching. Option D. Multi-AZ improves availability, not read performance. Question 2. A retail company needs to process daily sales data uploaded to an S3 bucket. The data should be transformed, stored in another S3 bucket, and queried for analytics. They want a fully serverless architecture. Options: A. Use Glue for ETL, store results in S3, and use Athena for querying. B. Use EMR for data processing and Redshift for querying. C. Use Lambda functions for transformation and DynamoDB for storage. D. Use data pipeline for transformation and store results in RDS. Correct answer: A. Use Glue for ETL, store results in S3, and use Athena for querying. Explanation: Glue provides serverless ETL capabilities, S3 stores the transformed data, and Athena allows cost-effective querying. Why not other options? Option B. EMR and Redshift involve infrastructure management and higher costs. Option C. DynamoDB is not optimized for analytical queries. Option D. Data pipeline is not serverless and requires manual management. Question 3. A manufacturing company has on-premises applications that need to interact with AWS services. The on-premises data center connects to AWS over a VPN, but they want a more reliable and high-performance connection. Options: A. Use Direct Connect with a private virtual interface. B. Use a site-to-site VPN with accelerated routing. C. Use Global Accelerator to route traffic between on-premises and AWS. D. Use S3 transfer acceleration for faster uploads. Correct answer: Use Direct Connect with a private virtual interface. Explanation: Direct Connect provides a dedicated, high-bandwidth, low-latency connection between on-premises data centers and AWS. Why not other options? Option B. VPNs do not offer the same level of reliability or performance as Direct Connect. Option C. Global Accelerator improves routing but is not a direct link for hybrid setups. Option D. S3 transfer acceleration is specific to S3 uploads. Question 4. A small business needs a disaster recovery solution for their production environment running in a single AWS region. The goal is to minimize costs while ensuring recovery within a few hours. Options: A. Use a multi-region active-active architecture. B. Use a pilot-light architecture in a secondary region. C. Use a warm standby solution with scaled-down resources. D. Use S3 to store backups and recover on demand. Correct answer: B. Use a pilot-light architecture in a secondary region. Explanation: The pilot-light architecture keeps a minimal version of the application running in the secondary region, reducing costs while allowing faster recovery. Why not other options? Option A. Multi-region active-active setups are expensive. Option C. Warm standby is more costly than a pilot-light solution. Option D. On-demand recovery has higher RTO, recovery time objective, and may not meet the recovery requirement. Question 5. A company needs to store large datasets, 100 TB plus, for analytics workloads. The data must be queried frequently, and the solution should be cost-effective and performant. Options: A. Store the data in S3 and use Athena for querying. B. Store the data in DynamoDB with on-demand capacity. C. Store the data in RDS with a read replica. D. Store the data in EFS and use a fleet of EC2 instances to query. Correct answer: A. Store the data in S3 and use Athena for querying. Explanation: S3 is cost-effective for large-scale storage, and Athena is optimized for querying data stored in S3 without requiring infrastructure. Why not other options? Option B. DynamoDB is not designed for large-scale analytical workloads. Option C. RDS is more expensive and not suitable for analytics on very large datasets. Option D. EFS with EC2 introduces significant management overhead and higher costs. Question 6. A company exposes its APIs to third-party developers. They need to ensure that only authenticated users can access the APIs and monitor usage. Options: A. Use API gateway with Lambda authorizers. B. Use EC2 instances with custom authentication logic. C. Use ELB with IAM for access control. D. Use S3 pre-signed URLs for API access. Correct answer: A. Use API gateway with Lambda authorizers. Explanation: API gateway provides built-in support for securing APIs using Lambda authorizers to handle custom authentication and access control. Why not other options? Option B. Managing authentication logic on EC2 increases complexity. Option C. ELB does not provide API-level access control. Option D. Pre-signed URLs are not suited for securing APIs. Question 7. An e-commerce platform needs to store and access sensitive API keys and database credentials securely. Options: A. Store secrets in S3 with bucket encryption. B. Use parameter store with encryption enabled. C. Use Secrets Manager for storing and automatically rotating secrets. D. Store secrets in EC2 instance metadata. Correct answer: C. Use Secrets Manager for storing and automatically rotating secrets. Explanation: Secrets Manager is designed for secure storage and automatic rotation of sensitive information. Why not other options? Option A. S3 is not optimized for secret management. Option B. Parameter store can store secrets but lacks automatic rotation features. Option D. EC2 instance metadata is not secure for sensitive data storage. Question 8. A media company runs a video streaming application in AWS. To ensure business continuity, they require a disaster recovery (DR) plan. The solution should balance cost and recovery time and allow the application to be operational in a secondary region within an hour in case of a failure. Options: A. Use an active-active multi-region architecture with Route 53 for routing. B. Use a pilot-light architecture with critical components in a secondary region. C. Implement a warm standby solution with scaled-down resources in a secondary region. D. Use S3 for backup storage and restore the application when needed. Correct answer: C. Implement a warm standby solution with scaled-down resources in a secondary region. Explanation: A warm standby solution maintains a scaled-down version of the application in a secondary region, enabling faster recovery compared to a pilot light while being cost-effective. Why not other options? Option A. Active-active is very expensive and not suitable for balancing cost and recovery time. Option B. Pilot light may not meet the 1-hour recovery requirement as it has fewer pre-deployed resources. Option D. S3 backups have a longer recovery time, making this option unsuitable. Question 9. A SaaS provider wants to design a multi-tenant application. Each tenant should have data isolation for security. The solution must scale based on tenant activity. Options: A. Use a single RDS instance and isolate tenant data using schemas. B. Use DynamoDB and create separate tables for each tenant. C. Use RDS with a separate instance for each tenant. D. Use S3 buckets with tenant-specific prefixes for data storage. Correct answer: B. Use DynamoDB and create separate tables for each tenant. Explanation: DynamoDB is a scalable NoSQL database that allows multi-tenant isolation using separate tables per tenant while maintaining low management overhead. Why not other options? Option A. Using a single RDS instance with schemas may introduce performance bottlenecks and fail to provide strong isolation. Option C. Running separate RDS instances for each tenant is costly and inefficient. Option D. S3 is not a database and is unsuitable for transactional operations. Question 10. A social media platform requires real-time analytics on user interactions, likes, comments, and shares. The solution should process data in real time and allow querying historical trends. Options: A. Use Kinesis data streams for ingestion, Kinesis data analytics for processing, and S3 for historical storage. B. Use SQS for ingestion, Lambda for processing, and RDS for storage. C. Use Kafka on EC2 for ingestion and Redshift for querying. D. Use DynamoDB streams for ingestion and DynamoDB for querying. Correct answer: A. Use Kinesis data streams for ingestion, Kinesis data analytics for processing, and S3 for historical storage. Explanation: this architecture is optimized for real-time ingestion, analytics, and cost-effective historical storage using S3. Why not other options? Option B. SQS is not designed for high-throughput real-time ingestion. Option C. Managing Kafka on EC2 adds significant complexity. Option D. DynamoDB streams are not optimized for high-throughput analytics use cases.